Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're going to do another mock draft. This one, though, is an auction mock. Jeff and I are going to do we're on ESPN. We have our own little draft going here. It's going to be all autos except for us because we just really want to get a feel for this top of the draft. And honestly, with auctions, if you're going to do auction is by far our preferred format for drafts. It's the most fun. You build your team any way you want to. I love it. But you need to practice, I think, with auction before you get into it. The first time you get into an auction of the year, you really don't want it to be your main draft. And not really. Sometimes it can come at you fast when it's your first one. So get some practice. So this is our first. We got 3 months till draft, which is crazy. It's only like 3 months to the draft, 2.5 for some people. So we're going to get some practice in here. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what to expect. I don't even know what my strategy is yet. I don't know if you have anything planned, Jeff. Just going to see how it goes. And
yeah, well, I mean, with this many autos too, it's probably going to go near the price range of what they have them listed.
A lot of them will. So we're going to pick and choose our spots. But it's just a good way to get started, get an idea of what these guys are going for in a basic redraft auction type deal, what kind of pricing they're going for. And also while we're doing this, I'm doing a dynasty startup draft as well right now, which is cool. All right, I'm going to pause this. Our draft's about to start. I'm going to do something here quick. Yeah, I'm doing a dynasty startup as we're doing this. It's great. It's a lot of stuff going on. Feels like it's draft time. All right, draft started. Jonathan Taylor, first one on the board. In this one, auto, so it's going to be a lot of these kind of guys are going to go first, right? Jonathan Taylor's the top players. People can have different strategies when you're in a regular one, Jeff. I know you like to go with the kickers and defense, nominate them early, get them off the board, right?
Yeah. I mean, the whole deal is no one wants to amp it up when they don't know where their money is allocated. So you might as well go ahead and it pisses everyone off, throws them on tilt. But yeah, so obviously, all right.
Cooper Kupp. So Jonathan Taylor went for 63. That's about what he's slotted for. So it's always the first. See, I'm telling you, the first guy, though, I feel like in a regular draft, the first guy seems to actually go slightly lower than the next couple. I should have struck early on this if I wanted Taylor, because that seems to be how it goes, right? These first guys go slightly lower in a way. Maybe typically not Cooper Kupp, but yeah, I mean, Cooper Kupp goes for 63 too. It just seems to be people are a little hesitant at first when you're in a full draft.
Well, that's the funny part too. And you don't think it because that was at price, but at price is actually a good deal. And the rest of these guys that are going to be at that level, that tier, usually at that point, that there's only about 4 or 5 guys that can possibly be in that tier. And this is where you see that panic set in come about the 3rd, 4th guy. You realize, oh, shoot, if I don't get him here, I have to change my strategy. And then you see the numbers pop up. And then by the end, that 2nd, 3rd tier, the people that haven't struck yet, that is where it gets a little out of control because you can find a guy that you think is going to go much lower, say a DeAndre Swift or a Joe Mixon, and you're like, okay, I'll get them. They're a good deal.
Yep.
All of a sudden you're bidding with 4 other people that don't have an RB yet. That's typically the way it works out.
So Christian McCaffrey went for $63, which was right on value too. I just picked up Austin Eckler. So I get my first one. Austin Eckler went for 55, which is actually was about $5 less than his actual projected value. So I feel like I made a good deal there. So not bad. I just nominated Leonard Fournette. I like Leonard Fournette, but I don't like Leonard Fournette for the prices he's going for this year. So I wanted to get his money off the board. It's kind of what I was looking at there. And he's going to go for $40-some. And that was kind of my plan there.
Yeah. And that's the other one that you can do. If you're not going for a high price guy, you might as well get the money off the board. So I think this will happen a lot for guys like Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry this year. If you don't want to deal with their injury, they're going to be the guys you throw out there because they're going to go for a bunch. And then you have one less person in the draft that you have to deal with. They could go after another big running back if they wanted to, but it's definitely going to hurt them if they want to go after another guy like Dalvin Cook.
If you want one of these big receivers this year, you're going to have to pay a little bit. Justin Jefferson's currently at $59. This is $200 budget. He's at $59. Like we said, Cooper Kupp went for $63. So there's some big money there off the board. I don't know if I feel it. I mean, Cooper Kupp was awesome last year. Justin Jefferson's awesome. but I don't know if I want to spend that yet. There's some good guys I like below that as well.
Yeah, I'm probably looking at, I don't know, you call it like tier 2 kind of guys, but like Jamar Chase is going to go for a lot too. Would I love to have him? Absolutely. But I feel like wide receiver, I don't want to go and get the bargain bin guys, but I do feel like in the 30 range, there's a lot of really good talent. And I might save a little bit of that money by taking them, which, I'll just point out being like a Jalen Waddle or a CD Lamb would be a big one for me, even though he'll probably go a little higher than $36 price tag. But, compared to Debo right now, it's going for 53. We'll see if he ends there. But I would rather have CD Lamb personally and save, say, $15, $20 because I don't think they're going to be that different.
Mm-hmm. So like Jamar Chase went for 51, Debo went for 53. So we're getting some big money off the board here. And so I spent 55 for a running back, but Jeff hasn't spent yet. But I think we're getting a lot of big money off the board with good players. But there's still a lot of good players out there. But you don't want to get into the spot, I feel like, where you're waiting too long. That's a that's what happens in a lot of drafts is people wait too long sometimes, and before you know it, there isn't any players left. So
yeah, and
just
that is a classic mistake. The worst thing you can do is not overspend or overreach in an auction. The worst thing you can do is end up with $200 or whatever your budget is, and realize that the top 2 tiers of every position are gone. And then it's time. You can get anyone you want after that, but you will be screwed.
In your RB1's David Montgomery. And we just don't want that. And so Jeff just picked up Derrick Henry for 55. So same price that I got Eckler. So I think we both slightly below the 63 that went, not much, but we saved a couple bucks, right?
Yeah. And at that point too, I don't know.
Goes for 53. So Najee Harris, a couple dollars less. I'd rather have Eckler or Henry than Najee Harris. We basically got them at the same price.
Yeah. I mean, Harris is fine. He's going to get the bulk of the carries, but I don't think his talent level is, at the level of the guys we did. And then Alvin Kamara is going to be an interesting one. You could get a bargain on him, but
there hasn't been talk. There really hasn't been much talk about.
There hasn't, but I don't trust that. There hasn't been a lot to talk about Deshaun Watson getting suspended either. But I almost guarantee that's coming. Like there's got to be something.
So even this is a part of this is already baked into his value this year because there goes Alvin Kamara for $41, right? I think it's a pretty good value.
Yeah.
And so here comes Dalvin Cook. This is probably the last of the really big time running backs. And then I think goes to another tier at this point. So if we had a bunch of different non-autos in this could get the price driven up on him a little bit.
You would think, because right now I'm throwing out money because he's not even at 50 yet. And
I did too.
I was just saying I can deal with that. Grabbing 2 big names. Of course, not the computers, the guys are bidding up each other, but neither of us want to give it to them for cheap. What would you say? How do you usually deal with this? If you don't have a guy that you want, how quickly do you dive down to get a guy you want compared to, and I got him.
Yeah, so your team Henry with Cook, nice little setup.
Henry with Cook, I still have $93 left. Typically, you can get a QB for real cheap, tight end for real cheap. So now I'll be really looking to spend as much as I can on the next 2 wide receivers and just, it's kind of like the inside out kind of team. But the question I was going to ask is when everyone still has money, at what point do you start going for throwing a guy out there you really want compared to just getting money off the board?
Depends. It depends. Sometimes I like to I want to be set. I want to have my team set. If I don't feel like I have enough players on my roster yet, I want to go after the guys that I want and I want to secure them now. I don't like to wait too long sometimes because if I'm waiting, I hate when I don't want to wait. That's the thing. Because if I'm waiting for my guys. What if I don't get them? Then you got to regroup and figure out something new. And it might be too late to regroup. And there might be no other guys left. So I want to, get my guys early because, if I don't get them, I want to, make that change quick. All right. I'm also up in the dynasty right
now. 2 for 1.
All right. So I just picked Trevor Lawrence as my second quarterback in the dynasty, but take a chance on him. So Lamar goes for $6 in this auction. That's your quarterbacks are going to go for cheap, right?
I always feel like when you're playing with real humans, quarterback, people put an emphasis on them and they actually do go for more.
I feel like there's a lot of money coming off the board here. Like Devontae went for 48, Diggs went for 47, where there's going to be some good players that we can start filling out rosters with here.
Without a doubt. We'll have probably really solid benches, but it'll be interesting to see what our starters end up being like. But that's the question too. So DeAndre Swift, which is kind of like the next tier down type of guy. I want to see how much he goes for, because okay. So he's gonna 43. All right. This is the problem. This is the type of guy that I think would get amped up because everyone is realizing now that half the teams don't have a running back.
Yep.
And they have to make a move. So it's going to be like him, Mixon. And I'm sure that, it gets really cloudy here because even though I wouldn't mind having these guys on my team, but like a James Conner for 38, Javonte Williams for 37, Cam Akers for 34, and then even like Barkley for 31. A lot of upside if you take those guys, but you could be throwing, $30, $35 completely down the drain if you go someone like Saquon. I know that.
Oh, I missed that one there. Mixon went for 38. That's a good price.
That is a very good price. And then James Conner right now is at 35. Currently, he's going. Yeah. He continues to go up.
Mixon was a really good price there. All right, I got to start getting some guys. I only spent on one. This is my problem. See, the problem is I see these guys go, I'll get somebody, right? And then you're starting to run out of options. So it becomes about time to get somebody. It starts to get to that point. There are some good players out there I can fill out my team with yet, but I don't want to just don't want to wait too long. Just don't do that. Just don't. It's honestly not a great decision.
No, I always feel like you do want to make sure you get at least, for me, it's like two players that you feel are legit number one for running back, one for wide receiver, and then you can fill in. If you want another big time player at either position, that's totally fine because there are a lot of good running backs that are probably being very undervalued at the moment. And guys that I would probably, if they were ranked really high, I would say, hey, that's too much. Like Zeke is a perfect example right now. I was very much on the bandwagon of, hey, I don't want him this year. He's probably going to fall off. But right now, comparatively, he's only marked to go for $20. That's a pretty darn good guy to have as your second, third running back and take the shot on him because, even if he's not the old Zeke, it doesn't mean that he can't be productive. Nick Chubb is at 23, right? Like there are quite a few players that are down there around that.
Nick Chubb
area.
Is one I'm looking at as a very good value this year for sure. I just picked up CeeDee Lamb here for $35. So
I'll be completely honest. I don't quite understand Zeke. I'm completely on board. I'm very bullheaded about that one. But like Nick Chubb, I don't quite understand why such a drastic difference in stock price for him from last year to this year. Do you get this one?
Be honest, I really don't get it to this degree. I do not at all.
So the team actually gets a better quarterback.
Yeah,
and that's supposed to take away, even though they only have like one viable wide receiver.
It's probably because of how much work he gets with Kareem Hunt. He doesn't get, I guess, enough in people's minds. I think he gets quite a bit yet. He's been very good with it. So that's where.
Yeah, I don't think
I like the value.
Yeah, I do too. I can't really wrap my head around that one. And if he got downgraded just barely out of the top 10, I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I can make an argument for that. But to drop him here where, a lot of guys that I'm not over the moon on, like Barkley is over him, Montgomery, Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, who I love, but he should not be over him. All those guys, I just don't understand it.
I really don't either. I don't quite get it. But that's fine. We can get him for value. I'll take it, right?
Right. I know. I just feel like I'm missing something when they drop that far out of 1 year.
So let's see. T. Higgins went for 34. Cam Akers went for 33. Aaron Jones went for 34. I picked up CeeDee Lamb for 35. Javonte Williams went for 39. James Conner went for 37. I just got Damian Harris for 5.
I really like that pick. And I was like, why is Damian Harris being drafted right now? I was like, oh, Craig threw him up there. Which $5. He's another one where he could be like that lottery ticket kind of pick, because for $5 he'll probably go for a little bit more than that in a real draft. But he's probably going to be the lead back, and when he gets to carry the ball, he looks very, very good. He was a very good player for me as like a running back 3 I got last year, and he's still around that area. Very viable option. I'm surprised he's that low. they do have a million running backs, and you can never trust that offense completely. But those are the types of people that have great upside that you want to get to either fill out your bench or give yourself a little more depth at a position like running back. Right. How are you feeling about Mike Evans this year? Who's up right now?
It's probably the same I feel every year, but he's in that same range, 10 to 15. So he goes for $33, same as Keenan Allen. That's probably right. Those guys, but I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb for 35, to be honest. I think he just has more upside.
Without a doubt, I would too. But I do have to admit, like last year, I was kind of like, I don't know, can he do it again? I was kind of a little bit of a hater. There's a lot of mouths to feed. This year, it does feel, and I'll probably be the year he falls off, but it does feel like it's geared up for him to have another kind of workhorse season. Tom Brady is back. Yep. Godwin's coming off of injury. Antonio Brown is gone. Gronk is a year older. And you have Fournette, who is an older running back as well, even though he's very, very good. So it does feel like the one guy that will be consistent will be him. I don't know. That is like what is gearing up to be like, but you never really know.
All right. Well, man, I was going to go over Saquon here, thinking I could get him a little cheaper, and it's not quite happening. He's getting into the 30s. I still think the value for Saquon is solid.
I do too.
And he goes for 32.
I think that's a very good price because you could be getting a top 5 guy.
You really could. I mean, his team situation sucks always, but he's been hurt, but he's still Saquon. I think he still has some stuff. He's only 25. I think he still has some left there.
If he's not hurt, he will be fine. And that will be the question is he feels like a type of guy that you can kind of build your team around. And it sounds weird. He won't be the centerpiece, but I think he might be a guy, or him or Zeke, where you want to throw him out early, find out how much you can actually get him for, and then you can decide if you're going to go that route or not, because it will take money away from another player. So if you got him for in the 30s, all of a sudden you're like, okay, if I get him already, let me go for tier 2 guys instead of a home run with, Derrick Henry and blow your whole wad on 2 guys. I think you could build it that way, but you'll need to know early if you can get him or not. Because if you wait for him expecting it to be a low price, it might not turn out that way.
So it's good that we're doing this early, getting this out of the way, because I need some practice on auction, to be honest. Again, I think I've waited too long. I think I've passed up some pretty good values, and I wish I had another guy or two from earlier as I'm looking at the board out there. So that's what I'm telling you. It's good to do these practices and get an idea of where these are going, because I just feel like there's to be a balance of not going crazy with your money maybe early on, but getting good. I mean, I still got Eckler. I still got CeeDee Lamb. I got a couple good players, but I feel like I could have one more maybe out there that I'd like. But yeah, let's see how this goes. We got a couple people that are already down on money, down to 18. So we might be able to really get some good players here. There's one auto that has 173 out of $200 budget, so that might steal everybody from us.
Yeah, and this feels about the right time. Like I threw out another wide receiver I wasn't head over heels for, just to get more money off the board. But it feels like now is time where I step in and say, okay, these are the guys I want. If I get outbid, I get outbid, but I'm going to go for them because now I can really figure it out.
Right. Yep.
And that is, and I only have 2 players on my team. Like it does go very, very quick.
It does. All right. So let's see here. AJ Brown is up right now. Let's see.
I'm looking at the other guys around, and I have him for 20.
There's not a lot. Yep. So looks like I was thinking about it, but you're going to get him there.
Yeah. So that was one of them where the wide receivers went for a lot of money, and I waited, and he happened to be the top guy on the board, because other than that, it jumps to Pittman, who does have a lot of upside, but he has to prove himself.
I just nominated Pittman. I just nominated Pittman. I like Pittman, but this was a pick that I picked to get money off the board because he was the top guy, and he's going to go for the 20s, and I'd like to get a couple dollars off. I like Pittman, but I'm just not sold. So I'll let him go for around $20 and see.
And if you listen to the next, and Antonio Gibson is up currently, which I know Craig is not a fan of, so more money will come off the board. But it's interesting because you have a lot of talent at the wide receiver realm, but the guys that are about to go, and which is why I went for AJ Brown, even though the quarterback situation is not perfect, but they gave him a lot of money to go to a new team. I do believe they're going to use him. The next guys were Pittman, who is young, hasn't quite proven himself, has a new QB, which is an aging quarterback. Then you have DK Metcalf, who is in one of the greatest physical specimens you're ever going to see, but he has no one throwing it to him at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Terry McLaurin, who actually I'm actually do believe in McLaurin this year. I wasn't a big fan last year. I like it better this year. Deontay Johnson, who once again we don't know the quarterback situation. Mike Williams, who just hasn't put it together. Brandon Cooks, who's always just a middling kind of good guy to have. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Godwin coming off an injury, and then you get to Amari Cooper, who should have a decent year, but he's very up and down. None of these guys are guaranteed hits. And this is the problem with waiting at any position, because now you have to pick correctly because things do have to line up. And now Nick Chubb is up on the board. So I assume Craig will be going for him, as we've already talked about it, so I won't mess with it.
So that's what I was waiting on. And that's where I got the situation where the next nomination I was going to have to nominate him because I couldn't wait around too much anymore. I had to go get him at this point because he was my favorite by far of the guys out there. And so I'm going to make sure I get him here if we even have to spend a couple extra dollars. I don't really, $25. I feel really good about that, to be honest. Especially when so I got him for 25 compared to Antonio Gibson went for 24. Like we said, Saquon went for 32. That's good. But I got Chubb for $5 less than David Montgomery went. And to me, that's huge. So huge. $5 less than a David Montgomery.
And once again, they're not going to stop running the ball. That is their bread and butter.
I'm going to pick up. I know the quarterback situation
you got
changed.
DK. After I just talked crap about him.
I get it. I know it's changed. The situation is not as good, but if you're looking at the guys left and the potential, he's definitely up there. So I'm going to take that chance. And 25 is not crazy for me compared. He's still lower than most of the guys have been going. He's probably the lowest receiver we've really seen go so far. So I was good with taking that chance. I think he probably is the lowest on the board right now. And so Breece Hall just went for 21. So I got Nick Chubb for only $4 more than a Breece Hall. I'd love that. And so my team, I got Eckler, Chubb, Damian Harris, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf. I feel solid right now.
Yeah, and I know I said I was going to go after players, but there's a lot of guys I still like, and I want to get a little more money off the board. So I'm going to make a run on QB. So I'm going to throw Josh Allen out there.
There you go.
Who is technically supposed to go for 20, and I want to see kind of the teams go after that position for a moment because there are a few running backs I still want. There are a few wide receivers, and I don't want to have that bidding war. So a little bit more off the board. I know who I'm going for now. So, and here's one of them. McLaurin would be another nice player to have. I think he would be a great number 2 for me if his, worth doesn't go much over 20, I would say. And it's holding at 19 currently for me. And it looks like
I'll get
Terry McLaurin for 19. He'll be my number 2. That's very, very solid. So Derrick Henry, Delvin Cook, AJ Brown, Terry McLaurin, and now everything else will be just icing on the cake, if you will. I think there's a lot of really good players left, and I would love to get at least one more running back. Probably me and Craig are looking at the same ones. There's a few of them right now that I think are undervalued that are about to come up. And that would be like Ezekiel Elliott, Elijah Mitchell.
So I just nominated Zeke.
Let's see where he ends up.
I'd be
surprised
I wasn't going to go for him
high.
here. I like some of the other value out there, so I wasn't going to go for Zeke, but I wanted to get. This is probably the biggest money that'll come off the board. Yeah, it's not going to be a lot, but he's going $17 right now.
Yeah, I got to go more than that. I threw 18 on him because that just seems stupid.
You'll take one last chance this year, right?
He'd be my number 3 for 18. I would he's my flex.
There you go.
I absolutely take that risk. Like you're under $20. Like there's going to be other guys that definitely go that high. Maybe not right now. Like I have a feeling that will not happen in any other league. I think that's only because we're going against computer at the moment and they hold.
I don't know. There's a lot of guys that have names at this point. In a redraft, it might when there's not this, and we played some keeper leagues with some different values, but there's a lot of good players that went for decent money. There was Mike Williams for 16, so that's fine. Patrick Mahomes is on the board. He's going to get brought up by the computers here. So I'm not going to take my money on quarterback right now. I think there's some good ones I can get for a value. There's a lot of good players out there yet. Like there's a lot of guys I like at receiver for sure. And some running backs, to be honest. And tight ends, for the most part, there's most guys other than I think Kelsey and Andrews are still around at this point. Here was Brandon Cooks. To be honest, he's up to 16. No, just I'm not picking a Texans receiver for $16.
And he's usually a good pick when he didn't have that concussion kind of stint. But I do have to say, like, there is a lot of guys in that same tier. Like, we're talking about, you could also take a shot at Michael Thomas. I would rather do that. I mean, there's Amari Cooper down there.
Michael Thomas is very interesting to me this year with how far his value's down.
Yeah, no one knows what to do with the guy. I think he is another one that I'm willing to take a shot at. And for much more money than that, like a $20 gamble on him feels like one of those moves you take. Once again, trying to build your team around that, taking a reasonable risk where it's saying, I'm going to lose out on bench, but I'm going to take him. And if he hits, if he's a top 10 guy, I'm looking real, real pretty.
All right. St. Brown just went for 13. It's crazy. Michael Thomas is 29 years old now, which is nuts, but don't know when that happened.
That is pretty wild.
Not sure when that happened, but I picked him in a dynasty, even though, dynasty, maybe he's not as great. I picked him as like my 6th receiver in a dynasty league in like the 11th or 12th round. So shoot, I'll take that chance on him in that. I'll definitely take a chance on a redraft with him here. So Elijah Mitchell's up, and I just picked Elijah Mitchell up for $11. So I like that. I like that play right there. So that means now I got Eckler, Chubb, Elijah Mitchell, Damian Harris can become my 4th running back. So don't mind that at all. Not at all. I do enjoy that pick. Here comes Elijah Moore. His value's gone down a little bit after they picked after the Jets got what's his name? Garrett Wilson in the draft. I still like that $6 for Elijah Moore. Coming into the season, I'll probably make a pick like that and take a chance on Elijah Moore for $6. I do like that play. Chris Godwin's out there. He's another one don't really know, right? He's injured. He can get some good, his value can become pretty good, I think, because of that.
I almost want to build a team that is like, I'm punting the first 4 games and then I should just rock it. I would love to see if that would actually work.
It's not, it's,
that'll have to be like, yeah, that'll have to be like another podcast, like the attempt to create the all hurt team, the all IR team.
There you go. All right, so let's see here. I'm just going to throw it a random. Treylon Burks. See what happens here.
That's kind of an intriguing pick. It's going to be very low, but he's
at $4.
All the opportunity in the world with AJ Brown no longer there. $4.
All right, now Amari Cooper's up there for someone to take. He's another one. If Deshaun Watson's his quarterback the whole year, this value goes really good. But at this point, we just don't know what that is.
I don't think he'd be like technically IR, but he would probably be another one where you're like, okay, I'm going to grab him because he's lower than he should be with Deshaun Watson. And if he's only, say Deshaun misses 3 games, then Amari Cooper is going to be real relevant for 3/4 of the year.
Oh, yeah. For sure. All right. Darren Waller goes for $8. Amari Cooper, the $10 for Amari Cooper. I think that's very interesting. I don't mind that at all. George Kittle's up. He's going for right now $5.
What are you looking at for tight end right now? I look at that position and I am completely lost right now.
I am too. I don't know what to go with. So you know what? I'll take George Kittle for $6.
Oh, okay.
I just took George Kittle for $6. I think if you can get somebody like him for only $6, normally I like to go to the $1 tight end, right? But if I can get a $6 George Kittle, I like that. I'm a fan of $6 George Kittle.
If that worked out that way, I think that would be the way to go as well. I think that's pretty good. You take the safe guy compared to what I'm going to have to deal with now, which is
Michael Thomas just went for $9, so that would be great value right there. Michael Thomas is definitely going to be one to look at for more value. But I like George Kittle for $9 or $6. I feel great about that right now. But all right. So I think we're gonna take a break here. We'll wrap this up a bit. We'll be back though. You won't even know we were gone. We'll be back to finish up this episode as soon as we're done. Let you know how this thing went. But all right, there we go. Auction draft. We are still like 90 picks left, so we'll be back.